Hello everybody, welcome back to Robert's Reviews. Today we've got a Robert's Thoughts video for you. These are my thoughts about my first semester of college, how it all went, and the coronavirus and how it's impacted it and all that stuff. I'm not going to add an intro here because I really don't want to edit the video. I would rather just film it, give all my thoughts out, and then proceed to the next part. I don't have to edit it. If I have to edit this, even just put just the intro in it, it's going to take an additional, however long the video is, it's going to take that long to render. So I'm hoping to not have to add the intro. I'm sorry. If you like the intro, go watch another one of my videos just to get the intro in there. You can watch it right now and pause the video and come back to it. But I'm going to talk kind of fast, I think, because I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about and get out to you guys. Just general information about my thoughts on how it went, what to expect for newcomers to college. I know some people are starting college now and in January, and then some of you will be coming in, next year in September. However, I have a feeling that in September and August we probably will still be in the situation because somebody didn't order enough vials of the vaccine. So we might not get them till June. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about college. So first, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do the video. First, I have a whole list of things to talk about right here. And then divide it into 4 sections. First of all, I'm going to talk about events. Okay, overall, how I did, what I thought about it, and all the events that have led up to where I am now. 2, grades. How they were graded, how I was graded, what I got overall, and if I was ever scared about some certain grades in some certain classes. Then I'm going to talk about classes in general. I'm going to tell you about my major. I'm going to go through each and every one of the 5 classes I took, the professors, review them kind of, for those of you who are going to Oneonta and doing these kind of things, and tell you what I learned from them. Because I think it's important that we find something that we learned from them, and we discuss about it. I didn't write down what I specifically learned on purpose, because I want it to be something that I just come out of my head, right? I don't want to write it down because that means I put thought into it. And if you really, truly learn something from a class, you'll be able to just say it immediately. And then I'm going to talk about next semester, the class I'm taking, what I'm expecting from them. And then ideally at the end of every semester, I'll have another video for you guys about what I learned and what you guys should be prepared for. So first of all, overall events, which starts with moving. I moved in on August 17th or something like that. And I brought a lot of stuff. But I was also in a single. So, I was supposed to be in a double with my roommate. I'm not going to say his name, of course, because there's no reason to. He seems like a very nice guy. But unfortunately, he decided to stay home. So, I was unable to meet him in person. But that did mean that I needed to get everything for college. So, I had to get a microwave and a refrigerator and all that stuff. I will say, some people think that it's not important to have a microwave or refrigerator. I disagree. Having a refrigerator is super helpful, mainly because of water. This is water with some juice stuff in it, but water is super important, and I drank 40 bottles every 2 weeks, so I drank 20 bottles every week for, I was there for at least 8 weeks, so 160 bottles of water at least I drank. And drinking them out of the cold refrigerator is a lot better. Also, popcorn. I watched a lot of movies in college, and popcorn is really where it's at. So I would recommend having a microwave and a refrigerator. Also, some other general things that I brought. I brought 2 laptops. Obviously, 1 laptop is totally fine. I only brought 2 because I have this Chromebook, and this is the Chromebook that I spend all my time watching movies on. So everything that I review on this channel, I've watched it on this laptop. There are occasions where I use this laptop to watch things, but for the most part I use this laptop because it's more mobile. This one's connected to a whole bunch of wires like my camera, and sometimes my microphone's connected here, my power cord's always hooked in, my mouse is on this one. So it's just a lot easier if I have a separate computer that I can just use to just watch things on. And that way I don't have to have a lot of this information onto this computer. And I had a problem with that, which I will discuss later. Let me write that down. Computer. I would recommend even just a Chromebook. This Chromebook was like $50 on Amazon. And it just holds all my information for movies and stuff. because information can get very compacted on a computer very quickly, which I'll talk about later. But I brought that. I have pens and pencils. An alarm clock is a must in my opinion. I did not get one with batteries built in. I would recommend getting one with batteries built into it. That you can that way if it becomes unplugged, you can still use it. Because I lost power in Oneonta I think 3 times total. One of them lasting almost an entire 24 hours, which really sucked. Sticky notes are incredibly important. If you like light, I would recommend bringing a portable lamp. I have a lamp up here. I'll move this real quick to show you. I have a lamp right there that I actually connect to the wall. And you can connect it to your wall in college as well. Or you can just put it on your table here, whatever you really prefer. It is helpful because particularly at night, the overhead light at college isn't great. If you look back at some of my older reviews, like post-Halloween or pre-Halloween, everything before Halloween was filmed in the room that I stayed at the second time. Because I moved to a different room, which I will get to later. But one of my rooms had very poor lighting, which is why I recommend getting a lamp. It is going to be nice. There's a chance you don't need it. Just leave it in the box. Next year you might need it, because in the next year you might be in a room where you have really bad lighting. Plus, if you have a roommate and they're trying to sleep but you have a fuck ton of homework to do, pardon my language, a lamp is really good to have, because then you can focus your light on your own self. They can sleep and you can listen to music and do that kind of stuff. Speaking of listening to music, I would recommend headphones. This is not the same pair of headphones that I had, but these were like $30 on Amazon. They're portable and they're wireless and they plug right in. That's always helpful for listening to music, because when you're walking around campus, it takes me about 10 minutes to walk to the food place and 10 minutes to walk back, all uphill both ways. And having music is really helpful. And also, if you have a roommate, having headphones is really helpful. Other things to remember to bring. Extension cords. Unfortunately, most college campuses do not allow you to have power cords. But you can have those power strips. Those like, here, I'll just show you. So I have this one that I got at BJ's that I thought was really interesting. And it holds like a lot of them. Oh, this is complicated to look at. But it holds a lot of them, and it has USB ports. It has USB ports for the purposes of... for the purposes of charging your phone and your headphones and stuff like that. So I would recommend getting one of those. It was like, I don't know, $30-$40. Definitely worth it, because you're going to have a lot of stuff to plug in at all times. I brought too many clothes. I think it's good to overestimate how many clothes you should bring, because doing laundry is a hassle. You have to bring your laundry to wherever the laundromat is, which can be on a completely different floor from where you are. It can be on the other side of the building. For me, it wasn't too bad, but I would recommend bringing a little bit more clothes than you think you need. For me, I just brought all my clothes because I don't own a lot of clothes, but I never ran out of clothes. I came close once or twice, but I was able to do laundry pretty much whenever. Quick note. Laundry soap is different from fabric softener. Always read the bottle. I used fabric softener as soap for the first month until my parents realized, which thank you, Mom and Dad, for realizing. I did not realize. That being said, my clothes were soft as heck and smelt fine, so it's probably okay. I would recommend not bringing too many memory stuff, because I brought a lot of stuff that I thought I was going to use, particularly pictures and stuff. I didn't use a lot of pictures. And then, of course, relationships can change in the middle of a college career. And then you have to figure out how you're going to get rid of the photos without getting rid of them. Because obviously you kind of want to keep them because they're good memories. But you don't want constant reminders all over your room. So I'd recommend keeping that to a bare minimum. Obviously bring a few. It's always good to have some pictures hanging around. But be careful with that. Tacks. Most places don't allow you to use tacks. I use tacks anyway. I use thumbtacks everywhere. Everything hung up on the wall is hung up by tacks. This lanyard, get a lanyard. Get a lanyard. I don't usually carry keys around with me, but now I do because I have a lanyard and it's on my ID card. You can see my ID card right there. Get a lanyard. They have them at most college stores. This one does have Oneonta on it. And I was able to hang it on a hook with my mask. So that way I can grab my mask and my keys every time I left the room. And it's super helpful to have your door key and your ID badge on a lanyard. Would fully recommend. I didn't bring boots or anything. I did bring them. I just never really used them because it never really was that bad weather-wise. But I think it's always good to bring extra weather stuff in case it is bad. There's a lot of talking about things that not important. Bring medicine. For me, allergy medicine is a must. I recommend Zysol for those of you who have really bad allergies. It works really well. Melatonin. Melatonin capsules help me go to sleep. I think I've used them once or twice during college. Actually, it's better in college. But yeah, I would definitely recommend that. I didn't really use highlighters very often. Flashcards I use quite often. They're always helpful. I have a notebook for every class. I would recommend that. Scissors. I use scissors a lot more than you think you would for opening things. I never use a stapler, but I have one. Always bring your own pencil sharpener because they're not going to have them for you in your own bedrooms. This one was like $3 at Walmart and it works just fine. I decided to go with light blue. I have light blue everything for my desk. It looks really nice. Desks are super helpful. Always have those. This here, this whiteboard, definitely get one of those because it's super helpful. When I was in college, I had it right above my desk, like right here. And whenever I had any issues or if I ever had to think about when does this due, I could look up and it was right there, all the information. And then when you're in class, you can just write on it right there. It's super helpful. And then I've got post-it notes here. Those right now are just review stuff for the channel. But I used to use that spot for reminders. So I'd be like, okay, well, this is, right now it's for December, January. But if it was if say I had something due in February, I could put a post-it note on the side that would remind me to put a reminder token thing right on here for the purposes of reminders. A bedding set is always really important. With a bed bug protector because you can never be too careful. Most colleges and most people would recommend that you get like a foam mattress. I didn't need one. I used it still, but I think it actually was more beneficial to me to just have a hard surface to sleep on. I like a hard surface to sleep on. I'm not a huge super soft get into the bed kind of person. But if you do like soft beds, college is not for you. Bring a foam mattress pad. They're pretty cheap. I got one for $10 at I don't know, TJ Maxx, something like that, and it was helpful. I brought a bunch of books for reading leisure, and I would recommend at least bringing a few books just to get through some boring times if you're bored. It's always good to have something to read. Even if you're not a reader, I'd still recommend bringing a couple books because they can be helpful. I brought scripts and stuff to help me get through college, and I would read them every now and then. It would make you feel like you're being productive, even when you're kind of not. So I'd always recommend that. Cold and flu medicine. I always have cold and flu medicine on me at all times, just in case I need it. It was always good. I brought my Nintendo Switch, and eventually I had my Oculus Quest. This is the Quest 2. Would recommend. It's super fun. I didn't really play video games too much in college, but you might be less busy than me, so it might be beneficial to have them. Another thing that I would recommend is having a plant of some sort. It just makes you feel like you're taking care of something, and it really can help be relaxing. Like for me, I have good old Spike. Spike is my cactus. He's adorable, and I love him. And I took care of him during college, and I think it's always good to have a plant. A cactus is great. You can get them at Lowe's. No offense to people who work at Lowe's, they're kind of poor quality. But I would recommend getting a cactus anyway. They're really nice, easy to take care of. They say they don't need a lot of water, but I water him every day, and he grows super tall. Lots of deodorant, bring lots of deodorant, always good. Body spray, that kind of stuff. I can't tell you how important water is. Make sure you read boxes when you buy them, because instead of buying 16 cups of the microwavable mac and cheese, I bought 16 boxes of mac and cheese. I did learn how to use it on a microwave. Everything is microwavable, even if it says it's not. That is a rule that I learned at college. You don't need an oven if you have a microwave. Trash cans and recycling bins are most likely going to be provided for you, so I don't recommend necessarily getting one. Brooms and dustpans are always good for cleaning up mess. Paper towels are a godsend. I think that's all you need to bring. That was a lot. That's just all the stuff that I brought to college. And when I moved in, because it was coronavirus, I had to wear a mask, and I was on the 3rd floor. And I was only allowed one person. So it was me and my dad. Me and my dad moved all my shit up to the 3rd floor, pardon my language. all the way up to the third floor, which was exhausting. So I definitely recommend bringing water with you for the car. That way you can take breaks and get some water, especially if you have to wear a mask. It's exhausting. My first room was pretty big. It was about this size, probably, maybe a little bit longer. So it really was quite nice. I had 2 beds in there, both to myself, because I was in a single, I was a single person in a double room. And I was able to do all that. I would also recommend one more thing, a fan. I don't know if you can see it. I have a fan right here that I got. I didn't bring a fan the first time. I didn't think I was going to need one. You need one. It helps move the stuff around, especially because they turn on the heating in like November, even sometimes in October, and it just doesn't get cold that fast. Particularly if you're like me and you're a warm body, I would recommend a fan of some sort, preferably one that can oscillate and can stand by itself, because that way you don't have to put it on its own place. A sit-up pillow, I have one over here, like that, is really nice and helpful. I would recommend a sit-up pillow because it can help you. You can sit there and read, watch movies, stuff like that. It's pretty nice. Once I moved in, I had to get my textbooks from across the campus, and I basically spent the whole day walking around campus and learning the place, which is always the first thing I would recommend. I would not unpack first. Get there, okay? Because once your parents leave, you're like, oh crap, you're by yourself, right? Take that moment. Live in that moment. You know, it's the first time you're really responsible for yourself, and I feel like I've been responsible for myself for a long time, right? Like, I feel like I've been quite self-independent. I mean, obviously, I don't like have to pay rent or anything like your bills yet. I guess that's like my phone bill and stuff. But that was the first time I was like, I'm by myself. Take a walk. Take a breather. Go figure yourself out before figuring out your room. I took like an hour walk just around the campus, learning where buildings were, figuring out where my class was. I had one in-person class. I went to the main building, Hunt Union, and picked up my textbooks. I'll get to textbooks later. But yeah, I think taking a walk is really helpful, particularly in the beginning of your college career. Learn the campus, learn where you're going. I figured out a couple places where I could read, because I like to read. I figured out a couple places where I could like walk on like a general path. I figured out where the dining halls were so I could figure out where to eat. All very important. And then I went back and unpacked. Unpacking took me like an hour. It actually didn't take too long. It didn't take as long as I thought it was going to. And then once I was unpacked, I basically just sat there and read my textbooks for a while. That covers move-in. And classes is a different section, but I started classes about a week after I moved in. So for the most part, I was just reading textbooks and relaxing and getting used to being by myself. I think it was like 3 days after classes started, there was a coronavirus outbreak on my campus. I want it noted, I did not go to any parties. I did not see any people. I did nothing before I got coronavirus. I don't even think I visited my friends Cody and Jake before I got coronavirus. I know I did afterwards, but before I got tested positive for coronavirus, I didn't see anybody. It was like literally me and my then girlfriend. That's like the only people I saw. There was a huge outbreak, and somehow I managed to get it. I don't know how. It might have been the bathroom, it might have been the dining hall, but somehow I got coronavirus. So, the way I got told was kind of funny. I'm in my room, I'm relaxing, then I'm like, oh crap, I need to do laundry. So I put my laundry, I go to the laundry room, and I go to like check in, and you use your ID badge, and you just scan it, and you can get in. And for some reason, it just wasn't letting me in. So a nice patron of my hall was like, yeah, I got you, bro. And then you could smell the weed on him, and then he let me in, and I was able to start my laundry. The problem incurred when somebody was like, hey, who's trying to get in that room? And I was like, oh shit, he knows it's me, pardon my language. And he pulled me over, he's like, dude, do you know that you've been tested positive for coronavirus? And I'm like, no, I didn't know that. He's like, well, that's why I couldn't get into the room. I'm like, well, that sucks. So, I was told I had about an hour. Most people have like 10 minutes, but I had about an hour because my laundry was in, to pack my things, figure out what I was going to need for 2 entire weeks, figure out what I was going to need, pack into bins, and move it to an entirely new building. So I was on the 3rd floor of Wilbur Hall, and then I had to move everything down 3 floors. I brought just my books, I brought a bunch of novels to read, I brought textbooks, I brought both my laptops, I brought my notebooks. That's pretty much it. I didn't really bring anything else. I brought my fan, I brought my cactus, that's really it. I wasn't allowed much. I had to really bring the bare necessities, exactly what I needed. I didn't even bring my calendar. I just took a picture of it and hoped that it would suffice. That really sucked. Moving all my stuff really sucked. Then I had to move it, so I had to move it down the 3 floors of Wilbur Hall, move it across the street, but I had a nice little golf cart that I could use. And then I got it over there, then I had to go up 2 floors. And that is where I lived for 2 weeks. And it was bare, it was sad, I didn't really see many people. My then girlfriend also got it, so we got to hang out for a little bit, for a couple days before she moved out and I moved out of that building. But then I was in Toby. I think 217 or something like that. Just chilling with coronavirus. And about halfway through my stay, there's a lot of parties in Toby at the time, which is ridiculous because they all have coronavirus. I guess it's fine, but it's also kind of like sort of unprofessional. Whatever. They were all partying and whatever, and we got a text message saying they were closing down the campus. That meant that everybody had to leave. Basically, I would have to leave as soon as I was allowed to leave after having coronavirus. I was gonna have to go home. I was gonna have to pack all my stuff and go home. Fortunately, I have bad Wi-Fi here, or at least I used to, and so I was able to use that to stay on campus. So I was allowed to stay on campus with like 500 other people, just chilling on campus. But in the meantime, I still had coronavirus, but everyone else had left. So by the time that I had left the building, as soon as I was cleared of coronavirus, I was allowed to leave. And then it should be noted that I was completely asymptomatic when I had coronavirus that time. I didn't feel anything bad. I felt totally fine. It was totally fine. I was just bored. I watched like 30 hours of YouTube. And it was then that I had the idea to start a YouTube channel. Because I was like, you know what, I want to watch every Steve Carell film ever made because I love The Office. And then I was like, that seems kind of pointless. But then I was like, what if I could share my information with the world? And what if I could document it in a way where I could go back and watch what I thought about it? Therefore, I'm basically creating a video diary about videos. And so that's where the idea of Robert's Reviews was born. I couldn't act on it, though, because I had poor internet in Toby Hall. Excuse me. But as soon as I was cleared of coronavirus, I just brought myself downstairs and I left. Down 2 floors, across the street, and then back up 3 floors to Wilbur Hall. When they told me I could stay, they told me I could be moving. I might be moving to a different hall. I was hoping I was going to have to because they had just moved the dining hall from across campus to across the street. So I just had to diagonally cross the street to get to food. It was so easy, so fast. It was super nice. And then they moved me. So I go up 3 floors to Wilbur Hall. I'm in Wilbur 350, and that's when I started the YouTube channel. I uploaded my first video probably, I think, a couple days after I left my hall of Toby. And I was able to upload my first video and really get this whole YouTube thing kicked off and really had a good time. But about 2 weeks after the YouTube channel started, I had to move. I moved to Huntington 371, something like that. So I had to go down 3 floors. I had my buddy Eric come over, use his van, packed all of my stuff into that van, moved it all the way across campus, away from the food, and then up 3 more floors into Huntington Hall. And I was shocked when I opened my door to find that my room was about this big. It was super tiny. And there was 2 beds in there and 2 desks and 2 giant armoires. I'm like, how the heck am I supposed to live in here, even with 1 person? If you are assigned to Huntington Hall and you're in a double, I recommend finding somewhere else to live. It's not very fun. It was okay for a while after I got unpacked and was able to figure out where to put things for 1 person. But if there was 2 people there, absolutely not. That'd be unbelievable. Ridiculous. But, yeah, so that I got more comfortable there, and that's where I spent the majority of my time. The majority of my time on campus in college was there. And it was around when I started filming and watching the Halloween movies for my Halloween week special. That was when my computer decided to take a poop. It was so slow. It took like 3 hours to download just a small presentation for class. So it sucked for classes. I couldn't watch movies on this computer. I couldn't do anything on this computer. I couldn't edit or upload. I was scared, so I had to shut down the channel. My only goal is to never shut down the channel. My goal is to keep it going as long as I can live. So I went I decided I posted on Facebook. A bunch of you were helpful. If you're watching this video, thank you. If you helped me, I do appreciate all of your work and helping me for no reason, just because you're a nice person. And what I decided to do as a last resort, basically, was I went to Walgreens and bought an SD card, a mini micro SD card, and I put it in here, and I moved all my important files, like my editor. I use Windows Editor, Windows Movie Maker, by the way, in case you're interested. I use that to edit all my videos, and I was able to get that onto my SD card, and then I wiped my computer clean, and I started fresh. Not only did that take care of my slow problems, I was able to get through everything super fast, but it also got rid of all my internal problems, such as it doesn't connect to internet very well. Now it does just fine. So it really is quite good. I would only use it as a last resort, unless you always have an SD card. But it was helpful, and now I have ample space on here, and I just use this Chromebook over here to watch things now, and that makes it balance between school and work and YouTube stuff. So my daily life, in general, my schedule was this. I would wake up at 7 a.m. every day. I had classes at 8, so I wake up at 7, and I would take a shower, and I'd have like a Pop-Tart if I was hungry. Most of the time I wasn't really hungry. Downstairs I would go get some coffee if I felt like it. A coffee maker is something you could bring to college. I'd recommend getting a Keurig, because coffee makers just don't really work very well. I think I'm going to get a Keurig for next semester. Well, not this semester because I'll be here, but next time I go to college I'm going to get a Keurig, just because I think it's going to be easier to keep track of, and it's going to be so much easier to make coffee. I can just pop it in and be done. Less mess. I don't have to clean the filter. That was always annoying. Just a thought. But then I would drink the coffee and I'd go to class. I had class from 8 to 11. And then at 11, I would take a break from the computer, go take a walk. And then I would generally take a walk and I'd sit down and read some books or whatever. In the center of the quad was really nice. I got sunburnt in the quad so many times. And then I'd walk and go get food. And then I would walk back to my room where I could eat the food. I was not allowed to eat the food in the dining hall because of coronavirus. I had to walk all the way back to my room to eat my food. So that took me until about 1 o'clock. And then I would watch a movie for the channel. And then I would film my review, I would edit my review, and I would upload my review. I upload everything about a week ahead. In college, about 2 weeks ahead because I was scared I was going to get behind on homework. In case you're wondering how I got through homework, I think I can talk about this here because it's part of my daily life. I would take 2 days a week and make them a work day, right? So like I just write work day on every couple of days, you know? And then I would go through and I'd do all the homework that I could in that day in order of when it was due. I was always 2 weeks ahead on homework, and I was always 2 weeks ahead on YouTube. That way, every now and then I can be like, you know what? I don't feel like watching a movie today. I don't feel like doing homework today. I can literally just sleep all day, and it was great. I would recommend doing that if that's how your brain can work. That's how my brain works. If I can get things done ahead of time, I can take a little time to relax and be myself and really chill. So it was really nice to see that that could happen. So I did that. I did all of that. I got all of that figured out. And then at night, I would generally just kind of chill and look ahead and make sure my calendar was up to date, and then go to sleep. I would go to sleep at like 11 o'clock every night. I'd watch TikTok for an hour and it'd be good to go. Some days I'd visit with Cody and Jake and all of them. They're my buddies. They run a YouTube channel, in case you're curious. They are a band, and they run Monsters and Munchkins. Jake does. And you can follow us on Twitch at Monsters and Munchkins. And we do D&D stuff, so you're welcome to follow that. But I would hang out with him. We would go for walks in the woods sometimes and go get lost. It really was a good time. I had a good time. I did not really meet anybody in college. If anything, I think I lost a couple friends in college. But I think a lot of it has with coronavirus. Coronavirus really does dampen your social ability. I was not able to go anywhere really. I could just kind of go visit Cody sometimes. That's really it. I didn't talk to many people, but it was like I wasn't like depressed or anything. It was just kind of boring, really. It was kind of the main problem. And then the week before Thanksgiving hit, and that was when my time was up. It was time to go home. which honestly I was excited to go home because I was kind of sick of sitting in my same room all the time. Of course I'm going to miss Cody and Jake and all them, but I want to go home, I'm sick of not knowing when I'm going to leave. I'm sick of not knowing what the weather's going to be like, if I can go get food or whatever. So I was excited to go home. So I packed all my stuff, and my father came, and my mom was there, and we packed all my stuff, and we went down 3 floors, and then back into the van, and then back home. Being home for the past, I think I had 3 or 4 weeks of school, including finals, to go through here. So there are a couple of challenges with being home. For one, there's constant distractions. I live with a baby, and I live with a baby mother who likes to yell at the child in the middle of the night, and it really can get exhausting. I woke up, there are times where I only get like a couple hours sleep because I just keep getting woken up. It's still really ridiculous. And I'm hoping that soon they will move to their bedroom, because then I can do next semester without having to be awake in the middle of the night a lot. Constant distractions, but it's nice because I have more friends here. I have my brother who I can play video games with, or not video games, but board games with. And I have my friend Pedro who I can play board games with, and really I can just go out. I have work now. I can work on weekends. I can earn money instead of spending money. Right now I think it's generally better. The one concern that I had was I don't have a desk at home. So I went out and I bought this baby, which I don't know if you can really see it, but it's just a black desk, and it's got a drawer here so I can keep some stuff here. It was like, I don't know, like $60 or $70. Totally worth it. If you don't have a desk at home and you plan on doing school at home, you need a desk. It's super helpful. I have all the stuff here. I have all my school work down here underneath my bed. I have drawers there I can pull out and have school stuff there. It really is quite nice. Just be aware that it's going to be a lot harder to do schoolwork at home because there's so many distractions and there's so many people that are always bustling around, and it can get quite annoying sometimes. I'm hoping that it doesn't hinder my ability for next semester. But then I had a bunch of finals at 8 a.m. for like 4 days straight, and that was the end of my semester, really. But that was just number 1 of going through things. The other couple things shouldn't take too long, so hopefully you'll stick around. Hold up, I need a drink. Ooh, my throat kind of hurts. Grades. So for a while, I was doing okay. I got hundreds in almost everything. Some people grade a lot worse than others. I'll talk about that when I talk about classes. But one thing I will say about grades is it's important to read the syllabus, because the syllabus will tell you what grades are worth what and all that stuff. And it really is important. I read the syllabus like 3 times a day. I really was reading them a lot. But I was worried for a while I wasn't going to do very well, because there was like in the middle of the semester, particularly around when I was moving a lot, it was hard to keep up with, not homework, but like studying for tests and stuff like that. I've never studied for tests. I'm bad at studying. It's not something I'm good at all. It really is quite a problem. At the end of the day, I was able to work hard and really get all my tests figured out. I had a couple low grades, but by the end of the semester, I worked my ass off, and I was able to get a 4.0. So I'm really happy about that. I did get a perfect score on my first semester of college on all of my classes. So it really does feel good. I feel good about it. I worked hard for it. It's not like something I just like came to me. Like high school was really easy. I never studied for anything. But college is a lot more difficult, and I was able to get through and push through and figure it out. And hopefully, next semester will be good too. We'll see. Next semester has a lot harder classes, which brings me to my next topic, classes. So, for those of you who do not know, I go to SUNY Oneonta, and I am majoring in theater and media studies. So it is a double major, which means I'm taking on like twice the work. I did go in as a freshman. I had a couple classes in high school that counted as college credit. So I was able to go in, I think, with like 9 or so credits. At the end of my first semester, so starting next semester, I will be a sophomore. So that does put me ahead of a few of my students at least, because most people are freshmen for 2 semesters, but I was freshman only for 1 semester. So that's really nice. I will be graduating early, probably, unless I decide to put on another major or minor, which is a possibility. I haven't fully decided yet. I'm not really enjoying my theater major, to be totally honest. But we'll see how it goes. I'm going to wait at least another semester to decide. I took 5 classes this semester. I took media writing, sustaining water, theater appreciation, understanding media, and acting 1. I'm going to go through them in order of which I took them. So first, media writing, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 a.m. I took it with Professor Mark Simonson. He was fantastic. He had long lectures that kind of felt long and unimportant, really, and they were by PowerPoints. But he had a voice that really kept me interested. I don't know what it was about it. I just really liked him. The way he would talk, I would listen. It was weird. And he had some assignments he would do every day, and he would email to him at the end of every class. And then every Friday there was an assignment due. And it was a writing assignment of some other. I wrote a PSA. I wrote a commercial for Keith's Chicken Sauce from the Try Guys. That was kind of fun. I wrote a screenplay, a scene from a screenplay. I had to watch 2 movies and review them, which I thought was kind of funny because that's basically what I do every day. A couple things. If you're interested in reading them, let me know. I can send them to you. I can share them to you in Google Docs. I have all of them. They're quite funny. I think some of them are funny. I did a bunch of newscasts, if you're interested. Just some stuff if you're interested in the kind of workload that media writing has for you. Air Words, Writing Broadcast News in the Internet Age is the textbook that we read for this class. For the most part, it was pretty easy to read. The chapters are short. This whole page here is just an exercise that I just skip over because we don't need to do exercises. We do them in class. For the most part, it's an easy read. It was pretty quick to get through, really easy to understand. Some graphics there to help with video cues. Really interesting stuff. Most of it is about writing for news. There was only a couple short things about screenplays, and even that wasn't really in this book. But for those of you who don't know, I read every single page of every textbook that was offered to me, that I bought. This textbook was I think $60 used, and I did buy it used, and I'm not going to sell it back because they're only going to make $1 back for it, so I decided I'm just going to keep it. And I might read it again in the future. I thought it was helpful. There's definitely some helpful things in here that I will be going back to in the future. That was my best class. That was the class that I did the best in. I only got a couple 96s were really my lowest grades. I did really fine in the class. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. And if you're interested in writing at all, particularly in loose writing, where it's not really super format based, more so than it's based on creativity and helpfulness, this is really the one for you. It really is quite nice. I enjoyed it a lot. Sustaining Water was a class I took by Professor Leslie Hasbargen, and this was a gen ed class. I was originally enrolled in a class on natural disasters, but I didn't care about natural disasters. For one, because that's a lot of work and it's very vague. But 2, we're in 2020, and the whole year's a natural disaster. I didn't really want to talk about more natural disasters. So I decided to change it up, and I decided to take Sustaining Water, which is also known as the easiest science class you can take in your freshman year. However, I'm not very good at science when it's based on biology or earth science. I am very good at chemistry and physics. That's more my style, but I'm not going to take a college course in that because I'm probably going to be very bad at it. So I decided to go with an earth science, and I decided to do Sustaining Water, which is an entire class about sustaining water. Essentially what we would do is we would talk about the water cycle, where water is on Earth, and where we can find water, and the ways that we are wasting water as humans, and about how long it's going to take for us to run out of water. One quick thing, I forgot to mention things that I learned about writing. I learned how to write newscasts. I learned how they're written. I learned the structure on how to write one. I learned about APA format for news writing. I learned about what a newscast is, more so than more of just a news story. How they are organized, how to organize them, how to find good stories. I learned about good ethics in journalism. I learned about how to write a screenplay. I learned about commercials. I learned about PSAs and the difference between PSAs and commercials. I learned a lot. Sustaining Water, I learned quite a bit. I haven't learned anything super specific, but I learned a couple things about generally the water cycle and how it can impact us. I learned that agricultural runoff is the largest polluter in lakes in the U.S., which means that the more that we farm, the more we're kind of getting rid of water. So we have to find a way to be good at farming. And it's more of a theory class than anything else. Lots of group projects. Lots and lots of them. I don't like group projects at all. I'm bad at them. It has nothing to do with anything else more so than like my personality can clash with others. I think that I'm more of a leader than a follower. So when I am assigned to a group project, I'm a good leader. I'm good at not telling people what to do, but instructing them on the best way to do something. I'm really good at doing things well and doing them fast. It's like something I'm good at. I don't want to like boast about it because like it's something that not a lot of people have, but I'm really good at that. I'm really good at being like, all right, here's how we're going to do this. We're going to get it done fast and we're going to get it done well. Which I'm glad that I'm a leader because most of the other people in my group, my first group, were not leaders. I did 2 group projects with the first group, three group projects. And I got a very low grade in the third one, which really pissed me off. The reason we got a low grade was because most of my group mates wouldn't do anything. So we were stuck in this limbo of like, I would write the entire outline and do my individual parts and make all the graphs on Google Sheets, and then they would just write a couple sentences, which I would get full participation grade. I get 100 on that. But when it comes to the actual group report, we get a low grade on it. So I emailed Professor Hesbargen. I was like, hey, I got a level with you. I'm not doing very well in this group. I'm wondering if I can do them individually or if I can have a new group. He said, absolutely. Which is a lesson to everyone. If you ever have a problem in classes, just email your professor. Most of them are super nice and they will help you. And Hasbargen was super helpful and really helped me get through the class. And I had a new group and we were much better. One of the participants didn't do anything in any of the last 3 projects we did. But I just put it in the comment section when I uploaded the project. I was like, hey, just so you know, so-and-so didn't do any work. I ended up doing their work for them. So I got 100s in all the participations and very high grades in all the projects except for that one. And then there were also 2 extra credit projects which count for 15% of your grade. So I was at like a 92 or something like that for my grade by the end of the semester. But then I did the 2 extra credit projects, which were just me doing a bunch of research and typing it all up, and it really wasn't that hard and honestly kind of fun. I really enjoy doing projects by myself. I'm very good at them and I can do them very fast and very easily. And I got very good grades on those. So then I got an email from my professor on the last day of school, and he said, listen, you already have a 106 in the class. If you don't take the final and you get a 0 on it, you'll still have a 106 in the class, so it just adds on to what you have. So, he told me I didn't have to take the final. So I didn't take the final, and I got a 106 in the class, which is a 4.0, obviously. I'm not, like, bragging about it. It's just smart. Like, do the extra credit when it's offered to you. Don't pass it up. Especially if you're not doing particularly well in the class. Extra credit can be very, very good for you. So definitely take that opportunity. Excuse me. But I did, and it really paid off. I didn't learn too much in class, but I learned that professors are very nice and easy to come out to because they also don't want you to fail, most of them. Some of them don't really care. You can gauge that in the first couple weeks. You can really figure out what a professor wants by what they expect from you, right? If they don't expect you to do a lot of work, they're expecting to not want to do a lot of work too. But if a professor's like, hey, I want you to do all this work, then you understand that they also are willing to put in the work to help you, which is really nice. And Professor Hasbargen was very helpful and very nice and polite. If you ever have the opportunity to take a class with him, I would recommend it. Next, theater appreciation with Professor John Bagby. So, this class is interesting. So what happened was, I signed up for Intro to Theater, which you kind of need for, you at least you used to need for graduation. But they dropped the requirement because not enough people signed up for Intro to Theater. So they ended up putting me into Theater Appreciation, which I apparently did not need. So I took it for no reason. Which sucks because it also happened to be my worst class. And it's interesting that it's my worst class because it's the easiest content in the world, right? It's simply the history of theater. I know all about it already. The issue was that we only had like 6 quizzes, and that was all you were graded on for like the entire semester. And if you get like one question wrong, you're already down to a 95. Another question down, you're down to like an 85. It's really dumb. And for the first quiz, I got 2 questions wrong and immediately was down to like a 70 overall average. And I was like, okay, that's not very good. So I had to work my butt off to get that grade higher because that was the class I was concerned about. I wasn't really concerned about any of the classes. That was the class where I'm like, I might actually not do well in this class. So I had to focus. I wrote down all the notes for all the things, and eventually I was able to get really high scores in most of the other things. There was a presentation in the end about Medea, which is the play that we did on campus. If you're interested in watching that, you can go ahead and check out Sunio Nyanta's YouTube channel. They do have it uploaded there if you're interested in watching our production of Medea. I was not in it because I was busy. But we ended up doing okay in that class. We ended up getting a 4.0 in that class as well. It just took a lot more work and a lot more dedication. I learned quite a bit about the history of theater. I learned more about the differences between like English Renaissance and Restoration and like the medieval period. I didn't know anything about the medieval period, so I learned a lot about how like they have like mansion plays and like cycle plays and all that kind of stuff. It was really interesting to learn about that kind of stuff and how it relates to me and all that kind of stuff. We learned about theater in our everyday lives, which kind of was dumb, if I'm being totally honest. I understood most of it. It was not a problem. It just kind of felt like a loose tie, and it felt like Common Core. It was the most Common Core class I think I took, which is interesting because I took a science class. Overall, not a bad class. The professor's super nice. Professor Bagby's super nice, easy to approach. I would just go to his office hours occasionally just to talk to him because I was bored, and he was bored too. Overall, really, really nice class. Really enjoyed it, and I had a good time. Understanding Media with Professor Gayan Torosayan. Worst class I think I've ever taken in my life. Did not enjoy it. Quick note. I read this textbook called Converging Media, which, here, I'll show you. Took forever to read, because as you can see, the print is super small, and there's a lot of it. But there's a lot of really interesting stuff in here. This is by far the best textbook that I've read in my years of reading textbooks. Super helpful. If you're interested in media in general, Converging Media is super helpful. I learned nothing from the class. I learned everything from that textbook. The professor, unfortunately, was not helpful. She would post just random like PowerPoints, which just outlined the textbook. And we only met like once every 2 weeks, and even then, we would just show up, and she'd be like, I don't really feel like doing anything today, so we're just going to not do it. We basically never met online like we were supposed to. Did not enjoy it. The professor was hard to talk to, hard to reach out to. Emailing her was kind of scary because you never knew she was going to be mad at you or whatever. It never was my favorite class. I did not enjoy it. However, I learned so much from the class. I learned everything about television. I learned everything about movies, film industries, radio industries, broadcast industries, paper, newspaper, magazines. I learned all about how they were made, how they were created, how they are now compared to how they were then, how convergence has changed everything, how cultural convergence, technological convergence, and economic convergence changes everything, which, in case you're wondering, basically that means that like when you can be on your phone, that's technological convergence because you can watch a movie on here instead of just watching it in a movie theater. Economic convergence is when a big building's like, hey, I want to buy you, like how Disney bought Sony. And then the third one is cultural, which is how we have Chinese food in America. Super cool stuff, really interesting stuff, and how it all met together in the media. Super cool textbook. Would recommend if you're interested in that at all. However, do not take this class with this professor because she was not helpful, and I did not have a good time, and it was frustrating. We had like 3 chances on every test, and then every time I took a test, I would only get like an 80, and then I'd email her and be like, hey, just so you know, all of these answers are wrong. I know I'm right. Why did you put the wrong answer as the correct answer? She'd be like, oh, sorry, my button must have slipped. And then I would get an extra 20 points because I got the right answer the first time, but she got the wrong answer. So it really felt like she didn't know what she was doing. I'm hoping she's better in person, but online it's not worth taking that class if you can help it. It's not helpful. It's not helpful at all. But I learned a lot because of the textbook. I'm definitely keeping that textbook. I keep it regardless. They're only going to give me $1 back for it anyway. I bought it used for like $60. Super helpful textbook. I love it. I will read it again in the future. My throat hurts for talking so much. Okay. Acting 1 with Professor Chiara Pipino. Pipino or Pipino, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. First of all, this is the textbook. It was actually written by her. Boop, right there. Really easy to read. Most of the pages are blank.
Robert, don't take anything for dinner.
Okay.
Don't make anything for dinner. Squinty Gossage is sending you macros tonight.
Sorry, that was my mother. She briefly interrupted my video. I'm not going to edit it out because it's ridiculous. But anyway, if you'd like to say hello to my mom, that's my mom. But really easy to read. Most of the text is rather small, though, which is why the big ones are kind of annoying. The group exercises you don't have to read because we were supposed to do them in class. We never really did. But this class was supposed to be in person. I went one time, and then we got coronavirus, and then we shut down. And then it was online, and online acting sucks. It sucks. However, there's only a couple assignments, really. There's two, acting assignments, where we had one time where we had to basically write a scene based on an open scene. And in case you don't know what an open scene is, basically, this is an open scene here, where it's just a small group of lines that are kind of unconnected. We just had to take one group of these and write out an entire, basically, scene that lasted 3 minutes instead of 30 seconds. Unfortunately, we were great on the writing, even though that's not part of the course, and we didn't get a huge great grade on it. It was a 95 or something like that. It wasn't too bad. Then for the kind of final, it's not like the final, but it's a final, we got up with another partner, and we had a 10-minute scene we had to learn and memorize for the camera, and it sucked. I didn't like the material. You couldn't change the material for that, and it was a long process. My partner was super nice, though. Both my partners are super nice, so shout out to you guys. Thank you for being awesome. We would meet once a week or whatever and really pound it out, and we really did good. We got a really good grade on that. And then for your final, you just had a monologue you had to do, which is super easy. You just learn a monologue, and then you perform it. And you could choose what monologue you want to do, so long as she was okay with it. She chose one for me, and I loved it, so it was super good. I had to do one from A Behanding in Spokane by Martin McDonagh. If you haven't read that, you really should. It is by the same person who wrote the movie In Bruges, which you should watch and also watch my review on. I didn't learn much in the acting class, to be honest with you, mainly because, excuse me, I was something in my throat. She based her classes not necessarily based on her textbook, which honestly I probably wouldn't keep if I could help it, but you had to write it because it had worksheets on it, so I can't return it. But overall wasn't too bad, but she figured her classes out. She scheduled them based on a book that I've already read. I used to read a book called Audition by Michael Shurtleff. I actually just finished reading it again because it's a book I'm going to start reading once a year. Very helpful if you want to be an actor. That's really a book for you. You really should read it. Audition by Michael Shurtleff. And her classes were structured to basically teach that book, which was really helpful for me because I'd already read the book a bunch of times. So it was really nice, really easy for me to. It was basically a breeze. For the most part, we really didn't do anything during classes. A lot of the work was just after classes when you would just meet with your partner. A lot of the classes were just sitting there because she would go over with other groups their project. And so on one day out of 6 classes, you would actually do work. And I only had this 2 days a week, so for about 2 weeks, we would just kind of sit there and do nothing, which really sucks. But I'm imagining it would be a little bit more different if it was in person. And so I am not putting any of this on Professor Pepino because I fully agree that it would be a lot better in person. And I didn't learn too much, but I learned a little bit more about acting for the camera and acting in collaboration online and how difficult it is and how it really is nice that we can still have acting without being in the same room. It really is quite interesting and really cool to learn. But yeah, those are my classes. One quick note, definitely buy textbooks. I know that they're expensive and sometimes you don't even use them, but I use all of mine. I've read all of them from cover to cover, and I really enjoy them. I can't wait to buy more for my next set of classes. Speaking of my next set of classes, that's my next and final note about this video, is next semester. I am taking Composition with Professor Tully, Media Law and Policy with Professor Feliciano Oritz, Media Inquiry by Bollinger, Art of the Motion Picture with Felice Chow, and Stage Makeup with Professor McCaslin Doyle, who I actually do know personally. So it should be fun. It's going to be more difficult than this semester for sure, but I'm excited nonetheless. I do have 3 new textbooks to read. They won't come in probably till like mid-January though, so it kind of sucks. I'm tired, my throat hurts. I spoke for like an hour. If you see like random like jump cuts in this video, it's because I paused the video recording when somebody was like walking up the stairs. It takes a lot of time. I wasn't able to pause it when my mom came in because she was loud and kind of like jutted in immediately. But whatever, it's fine. It's my mom. But yeah, those are my thoughts on my first semester of college and coronavirus. So I hope you really enjoyed the video. I enjoyed talking about it. I'm glad I can finally get it off my chest. God damn. I did get coronavirus again, but that technically wasn't during school. It was during finals week, which kind of sucked, and I had a lot of symptoms where I was like, it was hard to wake up and like coughing, sore throat, sneezing all the time, and I have allergies all the time, like generally, so it really felt awful. The grogginess and feeling like you can't move is the worst symptom ever. I'm sorry for anyone who gets it. It's so bad. It's awful. It made it so I didn't want to watch movies. It made it so I didn't want to film or edit. I still did because I was becoming behind on my schedule, but I did end up doing it. So I'm hoping you guys appreciate that I was able to continue doing that. I am clear. I can leave now. I have no more symptoms. I just have allergies, which is like normal for me at this time of year. But yeah, this is my second Robert's Thoughts. If you liked it, consider subscribing. Watch my other videos. Like the video. All that jazz. Comment down below if there's anything you want me to review, movie-wise or book-wise. Any suggestions, put them down in the comments below. If you had any of these classes and want to talk about them, put them down below. If you want any more information on the class I took, put it down below, and I'll get back to you. I reply to every single comment on the channel, so I hope you guys enjoy that I do that. That's gonna be it for today, because my throat hurts. I hope you guys had a wonderful Merry Christmas. Here's to the new year. Reviews again start Monday. As always, keep watching movies, television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.